What's up, traders? Eric here from MajorLeagueTrading.com. And what a pretty boring day overall. I mean, S&P's opened here at 45.61 quarters, and we closed at 45.60 half. So in grand total, yeah, we had a 14.5 point range on the day. Not very big, definitely. And we only closed 3/4 of a point away from opening print there. So for me here, I was not at the desk when the bell rang today. I decided that given Thanksgiving and Friday and the half days, which are two kind of weird days on the chart, they just kind of look a little funky here. Lighter volume, and as we came into this morning, we were right on the threshold of where I like to see volume at in the morning when I go through and I do the morning write up. So for me, I mean, we were 600 contracts kind of over that threshold. So could I have technically traded? Yes, but we were right at, kind of that area. And I was like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and just take the day, let these charts develop, and then see where we end up standing. So ends up being the right move here, as you can see, just some pretty sideways action. I think the biggest surprise, if you will, if anything, would be the Russell here. Was able to try and, pop lower here towards 1794.60s. Actually did break a little bit lower than that and then managed to rally that back. So I think that's a good piece of information. It will give us some new levels and things to work with here as well today in the Russell. But, the rest of the markets, like we saw the S&Ps, NASDAQ here, basically flat. It was a little bit stronger, you could argue here, than the S&Ps to some degree, right? And then the Dow here, which has been the stronger market. Like we look at the daily chart down here of the Dow, and we compare that to something like the Russell, which is just, essentially going sideways in and around this 1805 area. There's a couple little things we can pick up on from there. But overall here, I think today was one of those days where if you ended up coming in and getting too overzealous about Thanksgiving and not having traded and all of those things, and you just started clicking buttons today, I don't think that really went in your favor. So hopefully nobody did that, and we're all, still fresh we got plenty of mental capital from the relaxing weekend and all the stuff, and we can now start to let these charts develop a little bit more here and really find something to do this week. So for me, just given the extension and where we're at, I'm kind of starting to look and see if we can find some names with a little bit of weakness, and then also try and couple and pair that with a market pullback at some point. So for me, the SPY, the level in which I have here is going to be 452.16. If we are able to get below that level on the week, then I'm definitely more interested in shorts. However, when we come down to that level, the first test, I would expect that to try and hold, and would be looking for any good relative strength longs, or at least an initial attempt for longs from that level. Now, at the moment, there's really nothing to do right here, so we may have another day or two of consolidation, or we could try and push higher without me, right? And at this point, the likelihood of us pushing higher and most likely trying to fail on that push higher, I think is probably, the more than likely the scenario. Then it runs, another, 10, 12 points, i.e. 100 points out of the S&Ps. So, anyways, those are a couple of things in which I'm looking at right now, the levels I have for the SPY. A couple names in which I'm watching here from that weakness standpoint. Number one is we have Meta here. This was able to, kind of break down throughout the day, and it looks like ultimately this was, probably some sort of news that ended up breaking here, 148 or so, and it just ended up pushing us lower here. But definitely getting some relative weakness overall here out of Meta, which I think is nice to see. Tesla is one that if we can break 231.50, I'm interested in that potentially to the downside. It's a weird looking daily chart at the moment. So if it spikes and tries to fail going lower from 231.50s, then we can probably long it. But at the moment, it hasn't been able to keep up with the markets. So I like the idea of the potential relative weakness to this one at the moment. Other than that, there really wasn't a ton of things that stood out to me as having any sort of massive relative strength or relative weakness, with the exception of Roku here. This was the standout in terms of strength today by far. Ended up 8.48% on the day, so crazy move out of there. This one I'm going to keep on watch here over the next few days. It looks like for some odd reason these earnings, it gapped up towards $70, and it's now flipping, kind of larger term moves here. So keeping this one on watch. Otherwise here I'm sitting pretty quiet, waiting to see. I guess AVGO, this one ultimately did end up making a move lower here today as well. Couldn't quite get that $1,000 number, which is really just, it makes it tough because you don't want to long it back up into there just yet because it could pull back more. But just really interesting to see 13 cents off that $1,000 number. But big volume coming in today. I'm not a big volume person, but this is actually decent volume looking back kind of across the across the board here. This volume definitely stands out there. So again, I don't really know what to make of that. I just ended up seeing that one printing 950s there. So again, I'm going to be in a little bit of defense mode and just waiting and watching and seeing, looking for how this week develops. Hopefully, Ranger chewing on his bone here wasn't too loud in this video, and I can keep my voice. So anyways, that's what I got for you guys in tonight's free video. No trades out of me, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Take care. Hope it helps. Peace.